Well, it's wonderful to be with you this morning, and also to have our Bayside Church online congregation joining us live today as well. I thought it would be good to do that for Father's Day, particularly because I want to chat with three of our dads here at Bayside and glean from some of their experiences, from recent time as well as from a long time ago. But just before I invite the guys up onto the platform, I've been reflecting on the fact that of all the pictures of God that we find in the scriptures, Jesus used the picture of the Father. Understanding that any human picture, any human words are inadequate in describing what God is like, because we have an eternal God who fills the entire universe, who has no beginning and no ending, and so you actually can't define God. We can't understand God fully, but the best we can do is by telling stories and having word pictures like the scriptures use to try and grasp with limited language something of the nature of an eternal God. And so, as I say, in the scriptures, there are lots of pictures of God. And out of all those pictures, Jesus chose Father. As Jimmy said before, there are various views of Father. Some of you have had great experiences. Some of you have had not so good experiences. For some people, an absent father, or dare I say, an abusive father. One that's just been a little bit distant emotionally, maybe, but others that have been absolutely incredible. But all of us have our moments, right? So whatever family you grew up in, even if it was with an amazing dad, he still made lots of mistakes along the way. And I speak personally. But Jesus chose the picture of a father. And maybe if you have a not so great picture of the word father, you would spend some time in the scriptures and reframe your picture by looking at Father God. And so with that in mind, I'd like to invite Mark, Dave, and Steve to come and join me on the platform right now. Put your hands together and welcome them. Wonderful. Sit anywhere, gentlemen. Make yourself at home. Fantastic. So to start with, I want you to just introduce yourself. Tell us your name. Tell us about your family. And then something interesting that you think we might like to learn of you. Dave, we'll start with you.
Dave, married to Kayleen at the back. We have 3 kids, 2 twin 3-year-old boys, and an 11-month-old boy, Caden, who's at the back as well, jumping up and down. What else do you want to know?
Something interesting.
Something interesting or quirky. So let's just say I wasn't blessed with perfectly spaced teeth. So my front teeth, I can actually fit a 50-cent piece through in between. Nice.
And you've actually tried that?
I have.
To coin a phrase, right? Very good. Mark?
Morning, everyone. So my name is Mark. I am married to my wife Sharon, who's actually out the back serving in kids ministry this morning. And we've got 2 beautiful children, Asha and Atara. They're 9 and 7, and just recently had their birthdays. So we've had a bit of a busy month through August. And we've been coming to Bayside Church for about 12 years now, and that's been an absolute blessing. A quirky fact about me, actually now that I'm sitting next to Dave and we're kind of in close proximity with each other, I've just realised, mate, I think we've actually go to the same barber. So...
every morning?
Yeah, I think that's the quirky fact about me.
In fact, all 3 of us maybe. Yeah.
Cool. I'm Steve. I've got, as of April last year, I've got 4 kids. I've got my eldest is Hannah, who lives in the UK. Georgia is married to Nada, so that's 2 there in France. And John's over yonder, who lives in Clayton. So they're all pretty awesome young folk. Quirky things about me. I grew up on a farm, love getting stuck in the mud. Yesterday I was mowing the lawn and buried my tractor up to its eyeballs. So it was fun getting covered in mud and trying to get myself out of it as well. So, yeah, you can take the boy out of the country, you can't take the country out of the boy.
Beautiful. Love it. Any gifts so far for Father's Day? No pressure, John.
Yep, I've had a couple of pretty great gifts. One was a little Lego set of Boba Fett. Obviously, Star Wars is one of my favourite things. And also got a strap for my new guitar that hopefully I'll play in church one of these days.
Yeah. Well, you're leading worship soon, I think.
Yeah, I'm playing this Sunday, and then next month I'm leading worship. So.
Wonderful. It'd be good to have Steve back.
Yeah,
he hasn't
it'd be
been up here for a few weeks. So, well, I always love it when you lead worship, even though it feels a little bit country to me. But
Both styles of worship, country and Western.
beautiful. Mark, any gifts so far today?
Yeah, gifts this morning. I love getting the cards from the kids in the morning. They're so honest with what they write and really humorous as well. And in no reflection of my current state of mind, I got a stress ball. So that was great. And a dartboard, actually, which was really unusual. Yeah, I don't know where the kids figured I'm a dart player from, but yeah, anyway, I'm the dart player now, so there we go.
What about you, Dave? Any gifts?
Yeah, so I got some hand-painted mugs. I got some seeds, which I didn't realise they were in the cup, and kind of tipped them out. Thought it was a bit of dirt, but my bad. And yeah, like Mark was saying, it's interesting to see what they write. So my kids think I'm 5 years old. So yeah.
And they got that by observing.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's it. Well, one of my daughters is out of the country at the moment. Christy and Trinity flew to Northern Ireland and they arrived there on Thursday. So Trinity hasn't done anything, although, John, I could really relate to that story of... I get a text message from Trinity on a fairly regular basis about running out of money and can I please send some money to her card, and I'm a soft touch. I really am. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, righto. So I'm the easy parent. And so Georgia Grace, my eldest, is taking me out for lunch today, and then my second daughter, Paris, took me out to the movies the other night. And of course, what movie do you go and see for Father's Day? Absolutely, I went to see the Barbie movie. I'm going to say, just quietly really enjoyed it. Thought it was a fantastic. And someone asked me this morning which character I identified with the most, and the answer to that definitely would be Ken, but not because he's got a six-pack. So, great film, and actually some wonderful themes and truth in it. I thought it was good. While we're talking about movies and TV shows and stuff, who's your favourite movie or TV dad? And also, who would play you as a dad in a movie? So, Dave, we'll start with you this time.
So I had to look this one up because it's been a while since I've seen the show. It's called My Wife and Kids. It's got Damon Wayans in it. So I would say, yeah, that's probably a dad I would, I guess, aspire to be like. In terms of who would play me, I don't know, maybe Kevin Hart? It's about my height.
About your height, mate.
Yeah.
Mark?
Growing up, coming home from school, I used to rush home and watch The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Did everyone watch that?
Yes.
Very good show.
And so Uncle Phil was a great dad because he had a really big booming voice, and I try to emulate that at home. And I think the reason why I chose him is because he had some real moments of softness in the series. As much as he was a very, big and kind of impounding figure, he had those real moments of gentleness, which I really resonated with. And who would play me? Gosh. I think Denzel Washington's a little bit old to play me, but Michael B. Jordan, I think, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's a very good likeness there, I think.
There is, absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally.
Very good. For me, it's a sort of a cross between two guys. One is Tim the Toolman Taylor, because I've always got my foot in my mouth, hey, John. And the other one was Liam Neeson. I have a very special set of skills. So don't come after my kids because my laid-back, happy personality will turn into a killer. When it comes to who would play me, again, I sort of like the idea of... oh, crikeys, mine's gone from my mind. Anyway, you know the guy with the ugly truth? No? Gerard Butler. The reason I like Gerard Butler is he plays someone that can be a bit irreverent every now and again, which I can be from time to time. But also, when he gets onto a job, he finishes it and he goes all the way, and the good guy always wins.
Of course.
And of course, ruggedly handsome, but you know.
That goes without saying. Yeah, I'd pick Bruce Willis.
Yes.
Definitely Bruce, mainly because of the hairstyle. So Steve, while we got you, what do you think God loves about you being a dad?
I think if there was anything, it'd be heart. You know, at the end of the day, you know, what's important to me is heart. And when you see me play up here in worship, it's nothing fake, it's who I am. When you see me chatting to you one-on-one, it's who I am.
Yeah.
So when it comes to my kids and being a dad and that sort of jazz, you know, for me, what's important is that they know that Dad's there and he's going to support them all the way through.
Beautiful. Mark?
For me, I think it's my flaws. I think God tries to use them in a positive way through my children. I reflect back looking at my dad and the relationship that we had, and as I became a father, I remember thinking, you know, there's some things that I just don't want to necessarily do. Not that he was a bad dad in any way, but you know, just some of those flaws, and I think that's just kind of created some positivity out of me. So I think just that element of, you know, I'm not perfect, you know, coming out, and I'm hoping my children will pick up on that and use that in a positive way and pass that forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave?
For me, I think it's, I'd say my presence. I try to make time to just, I guess, be there with the kids and my wife and the family, and just making sure that they've got me around and they know that they can come to me for, you know, whatever it is. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Presence. Yeah, I love that. What's the easiest thing about being a dad, and the most challenging and the most fun? Easiest, most challenging and most fun. What do you think, Steve?
So for me, the easiest thing is, you know, when we had our kids, just the straight pride and love for my kids. You know, like, I'm extremely proud of the three of them, who they are. The most challenging part of that is probably when you encourage them as they grow up to take on the world and have a go and sort of find their own faith and their own truth. The most challenging part of that is when they take on the world and find their own faith and their own truth. It's probably something that I'm extremely proud of, but it's also been quite a challenge over the years to, you know, to be challenged by young teenagers and then 20-year-olds and realise that some of my thoughts and my opinions aren't right. So that's challenging.
And then fun?
Fun stuff. I guess for us, you know, being on holidays, we had a great holiday go around Australia many years ago now, and it was just lovely spending time with them every day, and you know, swimming spots and up in the Northern Territory and WA and that sort of jazz is always fun.
Yeah, awesome. Mark?
The easiest thing for me about being a dad is totally and utterly dominating them in any physical activity or game or anything that we play. And the most fun thing about that is that I really enjoy that. It's great. Totally. We spoke about Monopoly. Was it Monopoly? Did we speak about that last night? Yeah, Monopoly. And we recently played that, and just seeing their long faces go, oh, Dad's beating us again. That's a great feeling.
It just makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it?
Yeah. So the most challenging aspects is, you know, picking yourself up after failure. You know, for me, and not being too hard on yourself. You know, that's a journey, absolutely, that I'm on, and you know, not carrying any of that resentment or harbouring any ill feeling or anything, you know, in your heart, knowing that, you know, you are going to make mistakes and you are going to muck up from time to time, but just moving on. And, I love when the kids, they're so innocent and they've got that ability just to kind of, forgive and forget with no reservation and absolutely not harbouring anything whatsoever. And, that's a real kind of challenge for me and something that I'm absolutely working through.
Yeah, fantastic. Dave?
I guess the easiest thing for with having toddlers and a baby is that they're easily entertained. So yeah, pretty much anything you can do. You can make funny faces with them, and they just light up. So that's always good just to see their innocence and all of that. Challenges. I'm at the tantrum stage, so trying to love your kid through a tantrum is really hard. But I think it teaches you to think about what they're going through, they're experiencing, feelings, and it's recognising that and making sure that, they feel that you still love them. So yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Love it. How has your faith shaped the way that you see the role of a father and how you parent your kids? How's your faith impacted, Dave?
I think you have to rely on God a lot. And having that faith and to trust that you're doing the best that you can with God's strength. I think it's really important to think about why you're doing things, and what it is that God wants you to do. And as hard as that is, I think also that reflection thing, like Mark was talking about, is reflecting on who you are as a person, who you are as a father, and making sure that whatever you do, you're also changing as well to be more Christ-like.
Mark?
So I grew up in Sri Lanka, and it's a very kind of patriarchal type society, and growing up in the Methodist church where, it was really, church was really about kind of rules and religion and almost kind of counting sin to some extent. So I grew up in a very kind of male-dominated kind of environment, and my views of kind of fatherhood and Christianity were some of those real kind of hyper-masculine type, qualities. So kind of growing up in Australia and then coming to Bayside Church and experiencing more the kind of evangelical church, my faith journey has more grown towards what we maybe consider some of those more feminine type aspects, if I could say that. Just grace and compassion is really something that I've been really, trying hard to work towards. So I think, through my faith journey, that's kind of shifted the way I've kind of thought of fatherhood and parenthood, and how I'm trying to kind of impart that onto the kids.
Wonderful. I love those observations. It's great. Steve?
Probably for me, I guess two aspects of it. The first one is that, Father God gave Jesus his son, so he gave everything that he had. And, as a father, you want to give everything. You want to give the best that you can, even when that's disciplining a 2-year-old, to try and find a way to go about that. And the other aspect to it, I guess, is just the concept that we're not perfect, and Jesus has still got his hand on my kids, and even when I monumentally make monumental mistakes, Jesus is still there, and hopefully my kids all know that, that he is the rock, and he is the one that will guide and lead them as they grow in their lives.
And it's great to be able to apologise to your kids. I've done this several times over the years, just to go to them and say, I really, the way I disciplined you, or the way I reacted, whatever, was not my best self, and I apologise. And then they're so grateful, It's like big hug and forgiven and forgotten, which is just so good. What's the best piece of advice you've received from your dad, and the best advice you've given or imparted to your kids, Steve?
So if I think about the advice with my dad, who's probably on the other end of that camera. Hi, Dad. the advice that I've given, that I sort of got from my dad was more an example, and that was, he taught us how to work and how to work hard. And, that's been something that's held me instead over my working career. Probably the biggest bit of advice, like I alluded to before, for my kids was don't be scared, have a go. You can do it. Like putting John on a plane to go to South America at 18 was scary as a dad, but to know that he's on the other end Dad's on the other end of the phone if I need something is sort of important.
Yeah, beautiful. Mark?
This is probably a bit timely at this time of the year as Year 12s get towards exams. So the best piece of advice I got from my dad, so as I was going through Year 12 and finishing my final exams, and I was applying to get into physiotherapy at whatever university I could get into, actually. And the final results came out and the marks came out, and I actually missed out by 0.05 of a percentile. And I was absolutely, totally gutted that I'd been working so hard and I just missed the cut-off score. And my dad goes, well, look, there's two ways about this. You can either accept this decision or you can actually do something about it. So he encouraged me to write to the admissions officer, and at the time my grandma had passed away, so that was kind of affecting the family. So he just encouraged me to kind of pursue the result that you want and to really go after it. So he sat me down and we went through and we wrote a letter to the admissions officer, and the outcome was I eventually got in, that next year. And I've never forgotten that, and I've absolutely passed that on to my nephews and my kids, that you've just got to go after what you really desire, and also trust God, trust that God is going to be there on that journey for you as well. Yeah.
That is so powerful. That's a great truth being passed down through the generations of your family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And something that I've been able to pass on to my kids. So my kids started school through COVID, so we homeschooled them. That's probably why I lost the majority of my hair during that time. I'll just say that quietly. Oh no, we're online too, so everyone's heard that. Well, there you go. And just getting back into school, I think they found just making friends and relationships a bit challenging. So they were having a bit of difficulty with not really bullying necessarily, but just a difficulty with relationships at school. And they came home and said, I'm having trouble with such and such. And I kind of took the approach and I said, well, listen, there's probably something going on with that other child as well. Maybe they're having a difficult time. You don't really actually necessarily know what's going on and why they're behaving that way to you. So why don't you, just set some boundaries and say, hey, listen, if we're going to be friends, let's be, kind to each other. And, why don't you tell me what's going on, and maybe I can help you and we can work through the friendship. And I was so proud of myself. I thought, that's Father of the Year material, that one right there. That was great, like, woo. And so then they came home the following days, and I was like super excited to hear what was the outcome. How did you go with your friends? What happened? And they go, yeah, Dad, yeah, we're friends now, it's all right. It's all good. And I'm like, come on, all that effort I put into giving you that advice. Just to be with kindness, and you don't necessarily know what's going on with someone else, but be available, to be kind to someone.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, that's great advice for all of us, because all of us find other people sometimes challenging in our world, and to be able to ask that question, I wonder what's happening for them, is a really good question to ask. Great. Dave?
Similar to Mark, I think from my dad sort of passing on to me, sort of growing up in that the Christian home, was everything was trust God, to take everything to God, and I guess have that relationship with God to guide you and help you make the right decisions, and when you do make the wrong decisions, accept that. I think that's probably the best advice that I've been given from my dad. In terms of advice that I guess I would give, for me, I think I want my kids to really enjoy life and to love life. And so I would want, the advice that I would give is find ways to help your kids love life. Whether that's through, doing sport and things with them, exploring the wonderful world we live in with them. Yeah, that sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Dave, do you have a favourite memory of your dad?
Oh, favourite memory? Haven't thought of this.
We can come back to you if you like.
No, look, my dad would love to tinker. So he had a giant garage with lots of tools, and I would just go in there and sit with him, and we'd pull things apart and we'd fix things, and I think part of that has come back into me because I do that. Nice. So I get to do that with my kids as well, and they like to help out and grab the drills and hammers and whatnot. Now, not always in the safest way, but yeah, I think that's probably some of the fondest memories I've had with my dad is just hanging out and talking and making things and pulling things apart.
Brilliant. My dad had a garage very similar, actually, and he always wanted me to come in and tinker with stuff. But I'm like Jimmy.
I'm just useless.
Yeah. It misses a generation somewhere. My dad's the sort that would have tools on the wall and we'd draw around them so we knew exactly where to put them back, right? But I wasn't interested in moving them. Mark?
Yeah, so in my second year of uni, my dad had travelled the year before and had some frequent flyer points, and they were expiring, and he's like, wanted to do something with them, so he shouted me a trip with him to go to New Zealand. And we just had a boys' trip, just me and him, which I felt really happy with because my two older brothers missed out, so bad luck. I'm definitely the favourite, I'm saying that to the camera. So it was just a really great time because I'd never done that before with my dad, and it was just the ability just to travel overseas and take that time with him, and we hired a car and we toured around for a week and a bit, and just that quality time we spent with each other, which I had never done previously, and it was just a really great time to be able to share some great memories.
Yeah, gold. Love it. Steve?
A couple of things. Of recent days, we like literally a month ago, we went and looked at the whales, and seeing Dad's eyes and face light up when the whales all came up near the boat is typical of my dad from that angle. But if I think about the 1970s, I remember sitting on a pew many times, sitting on a pew in an Anglican church in Morwell, St Mary's Church. And Dad was there with us, and just leaning into him when I was young in those sort of years, and interesting sitting next to him and looking at the minister and thinking, that's part of my life, in the future. So it's been some good things, good memories.
Steve, while we got you on the mic, I'd like to explore for a moment, because you're now an empty nester. Yeah. You've got John, who's here, of course, but not living at home. And the two girls are overseas. I know we have a number of people in our church community here whose kids have grown up and moved on. How have you navigated being an empty nester, and what advice would you share with other families who find themselves either in that season or approaching that season?
I think one of the best things, hello girls, and Nada, one of the best things about the age that we live in today compared to immigrants, the migrants that have come out in years before, is the fact that I can see my kids. So that's over the Facebook or over whatever. So that's a really nice thing from that angle, to be able to connect with them visually rather than just either a phone call or a letter like it used to be in the olden days. The challenge, I guess, as a father with more than half your kids overseas is that you can't give them a hug just as easily as it can. So it changes your priorities in life a little bit. Like, I would like to be a hands-on grandfather. So if my girls end up being over overseas and living overseas, then what Tracy's in my life will look like will be a little bit different to, perhaps what I thought it might have been, from the perspective of I want to get over to France and, and be a part of my grandkids, or England if Hannah stays over there. So I guess being open to change is the first bit of advice I would give people, is that, things are going to be a little bit different. And with John, John's in quite a specialised thing, quite a specialised career, so he could be in Melbourne or he could be in Sydney or who knows where, and the same would apply, that, we want to make time for our kids so that they can be, so that we can be a part of their lives as much as anything. Moving into a phase of just Tracy and I at home, I'm sort of glad that over the years we've always been best mates. We've never lost that reality of friendship, and we don't sit down and look into each other's eyes every night and read through romantic novels or whatever. I like watching
Thank goodness, right?
Yeah. I like watching TV, but and playing games on my iPad, all those things you're not meant to do according to all the relationship things. But we've been best mates, and we've called ourselves best mates and best friends since we first started going out back in 1989. And, so for me, one of the greatest bits of advice is, it is a season that's going to come up. Don't build your life around your kids. Build your life around each other, and then have your kids as part of your crew. Do you know what I mean? So it's not ignore your kids, because I love my kids, and hopefully they feel loved by me, and I've done lots of stuff for them over the years. But Tracy and I are the unit, and our kids are part of that, because one day our kids, God willing, in our case they have, God willing, they've left the home and they've found their own career and their own lives and their own future and their own passions. And that's the way it's meant to be, I feel. So when Tracy and I now get together, we're just as comfortable as we've always been. We're just, that friendship and that love for each other is something that, there's no questions that happen. There's no questions when all the kids left, like, who are you? You know what I mean? Tracy and I we are the family unit, So that would be my key ones. Because it's empty, it's quiet. Oh my Lord, it's quiet.
Which sometimes is good, right?
Yeah, we like it. Like our eldest Hannah is a sanguine, so when she moved out, it was very quiet for a while, and then Georgie picked up, and John starts to chat and whatever. But quiet is good. We like this season of our life, and I'm looking forward to the next season when grandkids, God willing, happen, and all that sort of jazz. It's I like it. It's definitely cheaper.
Oh, yes. So when they're like overseas and stuff, they don't text you and say, could you put some money in my account?
No, they don't actually. None of our kids do
goodness.
that.
Wonderful. Well, a couple of questions just as we begin to wrap this up. I think being a father is not just about looking after the kids or the child that God blesses you with, but also what happens in you, the growth that happens in you. How would you describe that? What is the most significant growth point, do you think, that's happened so far in your fatherhood journey, David?
I guess it's changed that shift of, being, thinking about just yourself. So you're now having to start to think about, obviously, my wife, Kay, but also the kids, and thinking about that each one of them have got their own personalities, that they're their own people, and I guess learning to work with that. So from that young age, they've got their own personalities, which at times are challenging, but how do you encourage them to keep being who they are, and learning to respect them for who they are. Yeah,
great. Mark?
Yeah, nice, mate. For me, it's my relationship with God has really strengthened over time, and with this journey particularly that I've had with Bayside Church. And for me, I believe that your children, are a product of the environment that you create. And so, I'm working really hard to create, a space where they can feel that, as Dave said, they can be themselves, but they can also, rely and fall back on, the promise and truth, of Jesus. And, creating that space and environment, that they're able to do that and express that, as they continue to grow.
That's very good. So I guess for me, the big challenge is growing through that, through when you get challenged by young adults, all three of them or four of them have challenged me in various different ways, figuring out what I believe and where I stand and how I fit, and not writing my kids off, not writing my kids' generation off, because their generation is outstanding, and to listen and to learn from them it's taken quite a change in thinking, So
I'm so glad you said that, because it's so easy for older generations to bag out on the young. And I just resist that narrative. I used to hear my grandparents, they'd come in and we'd be watching Countdown. And remember my nana just shaking her head and going, oh, look at their hair, and you can't understand a word they're saying, and all this kind of stuff. And my sister and I used to roll our eyes, oh, they don't write songs with meaning like they used to. And I'd look at her and go, yeah, I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts, Yes, we have no bananas. What's with that, Final question. How would you like to be remembered, Steve?
So the Hallmark version of this is he loved, which I am. He loved God, he loved his wife, and he loved his kids, and he loved his neighbour. If you're out the back of the farm and you're trying to help me dig the tractor out of the bog, or if we're in the factory or that sort of stuff, it'd be he had a crack and he believed in me.
Love it. Mark?
Someone who served and was there to serve and to be a servant. Was there when you needed them, and was always able to journey with you on whatever you were going through at that particular time.
Dave?
So at school, I'm a teacher, and I get to work in a Christian school, and we're currently looking at Micah 6:8, which is to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly. So I'd like to think that I could do that, and I'd be remembered for doing that. Whether that happens every day, we're human. But yeah, I think that's how I'd like to be remembered.
Stunning. Gentlemen, thank you so much for what you have shared with us.